I want to ask you and then have Rev respond to this, and then John. A number that Heilman and I keep talking about that stand out is his collapse of support among really Donald Trump's base, and that is non-college voters. He's down 25% with non-college voters. I connect this to the Epstein class. Also connect this to calling affordability a hoax. So many of these voters are the same voters that can't afford their rent, can't afford their health care, can't afford to send their kids to college, can't afford the things that they thought they were going to be able to afford to pursue the American dream. And when you start seeing non-college voters support for Donald Trump and Republicans cratering, that's the five-alarm fire, right?
Well, because there's something at the base of that, too, right? It's that because non-college voters have been moving to Republicans for a while now. And if they see that there is nothing underneath that their belief that Donald Trump and the Republicans were on their side, and that the evidence is very much to the contrary. And, I'll add something to your list. How about canceling the Gateway Project, right? There are hundreds of workers that got layoff notices that said don't report to work on Monday because Trump is just holding the money because he wants an airport in Virginia named after him. All of the clean energy projects that were underway, the wind projects that were underway, people have lost their jobs because of this. And this does not go unnoticed among working class voters. So I think that it's not just bad news for the Trump administration. It suggests something larger is collapsing in how they're looking at the two parties.
I also think that people do not realize it is natural for people to identify with something that reflects them. I've been in civil rights all my life. People would fight saying that could be my kid if it's Trayvon Martin or something like. We look at these victims. These victims are young children that look like some of the people in the base of Donald Trump. And they're saying, wait a minute, that could be my daughter. Or the two victims in Minneapolis, that could be my daughter. So I think the fact that they can relate to the victims here, that you can't other them, is hurting Trump and Trump's base. The other part of this, there's a scripture in Proverbs 6th chapter. You are ensnared by the words of your mouth. They made Epstein and bring the Epstein files out. They made that an issue. So they're being ensnared by their own issue. They put it out there. They campaigned on it. Now they're coming back to reap what they sowed. And I have a fellow preacher now in Reverend Mika. We can preach this on Sunday because oh yeah, you preached on yesterday. I was jumping up and down. But clearly they made this an issue, and that's what's come to haunt them. And how do you tell people that you got excited about this Epstein issue, that all of a sudden we're not answering, we're stonewalling, I don't know anything, and the Epstein class is all over my cabinet?
Yeah, it's not just that they made it an issue, it was one of the issues. You kept talking about sexual trafficking, child trafficking. You kept having conspiracy theories, people showing up at pizza joints, shooting places up. You had movies out about a guy, and I heard this like a year or so ago. Oh, there's this guy who's a hero, and he went out and they made a movie about him for breaking up, child trafficking rings. Ends up, he was charged with improper behavior. Our people were saying that he conducted, but there was just this obsession, rightfully, on child trafficking, rightfully. But what happened to it? Where did it go? MTG still cares about child trafficking in the MAGA base. Who else does? What? I don't get it. Thomas Massie still cares about child trafficking. But are you really telling me that people that were obsessing about child trafficking and just making up shit every day about Hollywood stars, about famous people being like aliens and child predators and all of this other stuff, they suddenly just go dark, go quiet? because now they don't want to know the truth. Now, we've actually got the truth right there. It's out there. It's in the hands of Pam Bondi. But have you lost interest? Is suddenly sexual predators, is that all right with you now? Because it sure as hell wasn't before. And just to remind you, friends, I started talking about this in 2015, 2016, asking why Jeffrey Epstein was still on the streets, saying it made absolutely no sense to me. How did he get that sweetheart deal? So, so just save your old, no, we cared.
Yeah.
We cared about it. We talked about it. We were confounded by it. I guess you decided to start talking about it not because you cared about children, but because you just cared about politics. And the only reason I would say that is because you don't seem to care now. Mm-hmm. Where are you? Because all these people that were talking to me about it, they're not talking about it anymore. Maybe that's because you know. It's up. The truth's out there, and you got an attorney general that doesn't want that truth out. It must be hard to live that way.
All right, we're going to continue
Kind of helps
this
if you're
conversation.
always against child predators, always against sexual exploitation, always against the rich and the powerful using their position to exploit younger women. I don't know.